putting my ninja team together, I knew I had to have somebody that has to have one of these Storm Shadow backpacks. So I'm starting with a large craft stick and a couple of bamboo skewers for arrows. Then the other ones will be swords. I'm not going to make the arrows these 3-fins ones because they wouldn't fit together in the backpack, so they'll probably have to be a 2-fin arrow. I think this is going to look pretty cool. I have to admit I got a little confused whether Storm Shadow was a right-handed archer or a left-handed archer, and yes, there's a difference. A lot of the toys show the arrow quiver over his right shoulder that make him a right-handed archer. If your quiver's over your left shoulder, that makes you a left-handed archer. I'm a left-handed archer myself. I took a archery class in college, and I was only one of 2 left-handed archers. But it seems odd because some of these pictures show him holding the bow in his right hand, and his quiver is over his right shoulder, but that's okay. So making the bow, I'm going to use some coat hanger wire, and it's going to have to be pretty small, but not as small as the bow he had on the Real American Hero line, because that bow is awfully tiny. This bow will also attach to his backpack like the original. Use some popsicle sticks for the handle, and it's turning out pretty good. At least I think so. It would be a smaller or small bow. The Japanese were famous for using long bows. I was trying to decide whether I wanted him to be a lefty or a righty, but since his hand is one of those trigger finger hands, I figured I'd make him a left-handed archer. So the arrow quiver is going to be over his left shoulder, and he will shoot with his right hand. I used some popsicle sticks to create 2 blades, a short sword and a knife. I had to notch out a small area for the scabbard to fit onto the backpack part. That way I could fill it in with wood, and he'd have 2 scabbards for his swords and his knife. I sharpened the bamboo skewers to a point, and then gave the bamboo skewers a nock. This is the area that you put into the bowstring. You should be able to carry 5 arrows in this quiver. I also made a holder for his bow, a little different than the one on the Real American Hero Storm Shadows. It fits in here, holds the bow pretty secure. I did add another piece to hold the bowstring, that way it fits in there really well. I made some arrows. I colored the arrows black and the tips silver, and the nocks are brass. I used construction paper and clear tape over them to create the fletchings. I came to realize that I had a small little area where the scabbards go, and I decided to make some throwing stars. So I used some of my polystyrene sheets that I picked up at Hobby Lobby to create these throwing stars. I super glued them onto the polystyrene and then cut them out. I found it was a lot easier to use a wire snipper to cut out than the X-Acto knife. The X-Acto knife is a little bit more difficult. But with the wire snippers, you could just cut through these and sand down the parts you need. And it goes by pretty fast, so you can make a lot of these stars, which I probably will do at some point. I decided to lay out an idea of the arsenal that this backpack will carry. I have a few of these black beads. I figured they could be like smoke bombs or blinding powder or something. Then of course the 5 arrows and the bow, knife, sword, and throwing stars. I think at some point I'll add some more arsenal to go into this backpack. I covered the handle on the knife and sword with some black thread and super glued it into place. I think it gives it a great look. I'm very happy with it. I used some black acrylic paint to paint the backpack black. It's a lot easier to do than to use a black Sharpie marker. I also painted the stars silver and painted the knife and sword silver. Now it's almost complete. All I have to do is add a strap to hold it around his back. So to do this, I'm going to use some ribbon and create a strap that will go around his shoulder. I found this small little plastic buckle that I thought would come in handy. And I also used some of my black canvas to create a way to keep the straps tight. I think he turned out pretty cool. This Storm Shadow backpack was very fun, and I enjoyed making it. The bow turned out pretty cool. I had to use some elastic cord for the bowstring, since this metal wasn't going to move an inch. That's okay. I might end up replacing the bowstring with something thinner at some point if I can find some. But the bow attaches to the backpack quite securely. And it being a shorter bow, it turned out pretty cool. He could easily reach his arrows and his sword over his shoulder. The arrow tips are just points and they fit into the backpack really well, so he could carry up to 5 arrows in his backpack. His main sword is a two-handed short sword. Then his knife turned out pretty well. I made the handguard a lot smaller than most swords I've done before. I think it gives it an interesting look. I included some other ninja gear with his the set, including this little grappling hook thing. I might eventually make some more ninja weapons. We'll talk about that later. I created a lid for the top of the box on the backpack so you could store stuff on the top area and the bottom area. These just pull out like so, and they're held in with a little bit of a strap. You could store his ninja stars in here and maybe some other little ninja gadgets. I think it's pretty cool that all this stuff fits into this one little backpack. This was a fun project to create. It took a little while too, but it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed this build. Well, that's all I have for you. What's your favorite ninja team? Ninja Turtles? Power Rangers? Let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to click the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really helps my channel out. I'll probably do a Ninja Arsenal video in the future, so keep your eyes open for that one. Until then, don't forget to collect, inspire, and create. I'll see you in the next video.